Hello, my dear students. I hope you and your family members are safe and fine. In this lecture, I will discuss about uterine prolapse. Before moving towards the topic, guys, I just first want to say that if you will find my video useful, then please like to my video and also give your valuable comments. Your feedbacks actually motivates me to make more videos for you guys. And those who not subscribed to my channel yet, please kindly subscribe to my channel for getting regular updates. Now coming back towards the topic, that is uterine prolapse. The general or the normal meaning of prolapse is falling down or slipping of the body part from its normal position. So what is uterine prolapse? That is slipping of the uterus from its normal position into the vagina. So first of all, its definition. The uterine prolapse is the downward displacement or dislocation or shifting of the uterus into the vaginal canal. So what basically happens in the case of uterine prolapse, the uterus displaces from its normal position and comes down into the vaginal canal, or a gradually or slowly descends or going down of the uterus in the axis of the vagina, taking wall with it. This is vaginal canal, this is cervix, and this is uterus. So this line is an axis of vagina. The uterus is coming down into the axis of the vagina by taking its wall along with it. So its another definition is uterine prolapse means the uterus has descended or coming down from its normal position in the pelvis far down into the vagina. Next is incidence of uterine prolapse, which is 1 in 250 pregnancies. After incidence, there are certain key points regarding uterine prolapse. The uterus actually remains at its normal position due to the support of pelvic floor muscles and ligaments. But if due to some reason the pelvic floor muscles and ligaments become weak, then there are the chances of displacement of the uterus from its normal position and uterus comes into the or slips down into the vaginal canal. So uterine prolapse is one of the common clinical condition as its incidence rate is very high, that is 1 in 250 pregnancies. So it is most often seen in multiparous women, that is the woman who is pregnant for more than one time, because in the multiparous woman, the pelvic floor muscles and ligaments are weak. So uterine prolapse is the one form of herniation. Normally, what is the meaning of herniation? That is the abnormal bulging or the protrusion of the tissues from the opening. Same, it happens in the case of uterine prolapse, that is the uterus either slips down into the vagina or protrudes out of the vagina. So it is one form or one of the type of herniation. So it can happen to the woman at any age, but it affects the post-menopausal woman more who had one or more vaginal deliveries. What is the meaning of post-menopausal woman? That is the woman who does not have menstrual period from last 1 year. And why the chances of uterine prolapse is more among post-menopausal women? That is, the main reason is lowering of the hormonal level. The estrogen actually keeps the pelvic floor muscles strong, but as in the case of post-menopausal women, the estrogen level drops. As a result, there are the chances of uterine prolapse. So it occurs when pelvic floor muscles and ligaments stretch, as in the case of multiparous women. When these ligaments and pelvic floor muscles stretch and become weakened, it provides inadequate or not proper support for the uterus. As a result, the uterus slips down into or maybe protrude out of the vagina. Next, I am going to discuss little bit about the support of uterus. As I already said, there are certain ligaments and pelvic floor muscles which provides the support to the uterus so that uterus remain at its normal position. So what is the meaning of ligaments? These are tough fibrous band of connective tissues that supports internal organs. So the ligaments which provides the support to the uterus are round ligaments, broad ligaments, pubocervical ligaments, uterosacral ligaments. First of all, round ligaments. So these are round ligaments which are present on the both sides of the uterus. These are cord-like structures which connects the uterus with the groin region. This is the groin region. So it starts from the uterine horn. What is the meaning of uterine horn? It is the area where the fallopian tubes joins the uterus. So at uterus, the round ligaments are attached at the uterine horn, and at the ground region it is attached at the labia majora. So the another ligament is broad ligament. So these are the broad ligaments which are present at the floor of the fallopian tubes. So these connects the sides of the uterus with the walls and the floor of the pelvis. So the another ligaments are pubocervical ligaments and uterosacral ligaments. This is the downward view, and this one is a sideline or the lateral view. This is the cervix, and this is urinary bladder, and behind the cervix is rectum. In the blue color, this is sacrum, while this is symphysis pubis. In the sideline view or in the lateral view, you can see this is the urinary bladder, this is uterus, and this is rectum. So the another ligament is pubocervical ligament. The word pubo indicates symphysis pubis, while the word cervical indicates cervix. So this ligament connects the cervix with the symphysis pubis. And here you can see it connects the cervix with the symphysis pubis. That's why it is known as pubocervical ligament. While the another one is uterosacral ligaments. So the word utero indicates the uterus, while the word sacral indicates the sacrum. So it connects the uterus with the sacrum. That's why, and here you can see it connects the uterus with the sacrum. This one is a sacrum. That's why it is known as uterosacral ligaments. So there is another ligament which actually provides the supports to the uterus, which is known as cardinal ligament, which is also known as transverse cervical ligament or lateral cervical ligaments. Lateral cervical means on the sides of the cervix. So the ligaments and the pelvic floor muscles holds the uterus in normal position, but due to some reason, when the ligaments and pelvic floor muscles are overstretched, as a result they become weakened. And when the ligaments and pelvic floor muscles weaken, as a result the support to the uterus is decreased, and uterus will be displaced from its normal position and comes into the vaginal canal, which is known as uterine prolapse. Next is the degree of uterine prolapse or the stages of uterine prolapse. There are 4 stages of uterine prolapse, as you can see in this diagram. This is the normal one. Here the uterus is present at its normal position. This is the vagina. Here I draw the 2 lines. At the level of external os, this is the external os of the cervix, this is the internal os. So here I draw the one line at the level of external os, and the another one is at the level of vaginal opening. So in the stage 1, the uterus descends down or slips down into the upper half of the vagina. So this is the upper half of the vagina, this is the lower half of the vagina. So in this case, the uterus is present at the upper half of the vagina. In the stage 2, the uterus descends further or it comes down further nearly to the opening of the vagina. While in the case of stage 3, some part of the uterus protrudes out or bulges out of the vagina. And in the case of stage 4 or degree 4, the uterus is completely out of the vagina. Next are the causes of uterine prolapse. Under this, first one is birth injury to mother. While delivering the baby, there are the chances of tearing or excessive stretching of the pelvic floor muscles. But in the case of uterine prolapse, the tearing is actually less harmful as compared to the excessive stretching. So due to excessive stretching of the pelvic floor muscles, the muscles become weak. As a result, the uterine prolapse might occur. Next is peripheral nerve injury. So in the case of peripheral nerve injury, the brain is not able to communicate with muscles or organs. Under this, the pudendal nerve injury during childbirth. So what is pudendal nerve? This is a main supply to the perineum. So it has both functions, that are sensory and the motor. So what do you mean by motor function? Means it controls all the pelvic muscle movements. But if during childbirth the pudendal nerve injury occurs, the muscles become weak. As a result, there are the chances of uterine prolapse. Next is bear down. So if the woman tries to push the baby prematurely, such as during the first days of the labor when the cervix is not fully dilated, or lifting of heavy objects or heavy work actually puts pressure on the pelvic muscles, which as a result increases the risk of uterine prolapse. Next is delivery of the big baby. When the size of the baby is more than normal, it causes overstretching or tearing of the pelvic floor muscles. And due to overstretching, the muscles and ligaments become weak. As a result, uterine prolapse might occur. Next is rapid succession of pregnancies. What do you mean by rapid succession of pregnancies? It means repeated childbirth with short intervals, which actually causes the weakness of muscles and ligaments. As a result, uterovaginal prolapse or uterine prolapse might occur. Next is loss of pelvic supports. So when the pelvic support is lost, when the muscles and ligaments are no longer providing the support to the uterus, the uterine prolapse occurs. Next is postpartum cough. So after delivering the baby, if the mother is having cough, which actually jerks or pushes the pelvic tissues downward, as a result, there are the chances of uterine prolapse. Next is congenital weakness, means by birth. If there is a weakness in the pelvic muscles and ligaments, then also there are the chances of uterine prolapse. Next are acquired defects. The acquired defects are actually those which are obtained during lifetime. Under this multiparous woman, the woman who is pregnant for more than one time have weak pelvic floor muscles and ligaments due to overstretching. As a result, there are the chances of uterine prolapse. Next is menopausal atrophy. Under this, as I already discussed, that after menopause, the estrogen level drops. Estrogen keeps the pelvic floor muscles strong, but due to the fall in the estrogen level, menopausal atrophy occurs. What is the meaning of menopausal atrophy? It means the thinning of the vagina, and it is believed that the thinning of the vagina reduces the strength of connective tissues such as ligaments, as the ligaments are bands of connective tissues. So if the strength of ligaments is reduced, there are the chances of uterine prolapse. Next is activating factors or increasing factors. The uterine prolapse is actually worsened or aggravated or increased due to the presence of small fibroids and pelvic tumors. So if the small fibroids and pelvic tumors are already present, then it worsens the uterine prolapse. Next is body type. Under body type, there are few women who have softer connective tissues as compared to the others. So softer connective tissues means soft ligaments which loosen easily. As a result, those women are at risk of uterine prolapse. Next is obesity. So in the obese woman, there is an increase in intra-abdominal pressure. What is the meaning of intra-abdominal pressure? Means the pressure inside the abdominal cavity, which causes weakening of the pelvic floor muscles. As a result, the uterine prolapse might occur. So in the obese woman, there are the chances of uterine prolapse. Next are the clinical features of uterine prolapse. If the woman is suffering from the uterine prolapse, she might have the feeling of fullness, heaviness or pain in the pelvic area, and these feelings worsen day by day. And these feelings might worsen after standing, lifting the heavy objects or cuffing, as these three activities puts pressure on the pelvic floor muscles, or it pushes the tissues or muscles downwards. Next is lower back pain. Now why the lower back pain occurs in the case of uterine prolapse? As pelvis is a main support to the lower back, it means the pelvic floor muscles are providing support to the lower back muscles. And if the pelvic floor muscles are too weak or too tight, as in the case of uterine prolapse, the muscles are too weak, then the lower back muscles do not get proper support, As a result, the lower back pain might occur. Next is bulging in the vagina, as the uterus comes down in the vagina. Next is tissue protruding from vagina, as in the case of stage 3 and stage 4, the uterus is bulges out or protruding out from the vagina. Next is urinary and bowel symptoms, as the pelvic muscles weaken in the case of uterine prolapse. Then the organs which are present inside the pelvic cavity can drop down towards the vagina. So if the pelvic muscles are weakened, then the organs of the pelvic area drops down, means slips down towards the vagina, which as a result causes bladder and the bowel problems. So the one condition which we are studying is uterine prolapse, in which the uterus slips down into the vagina, or due to the weakened pelvic floor muscles, there are the chances of cystocele and rectocele along with the uterine prolapse. Now what are these both conditions? In the cystocele, the bladder wall bulges towards the vagina. So this is vagina, this is a bladder wall which is bulges towards the vagina. That's why it is known as cystocele. And here the anterior wall of vagina is involved, that's why it is known as anterior prolapse. While in the case of rectocele, this is the rectum, and here the wall of the rectum is bulges towards the vagina, and here the posterior wall is involved, that's why it is known as posterior prolapse. So in the case of cystocele, the urinary symptoms occur, and in the case of rectocele, the bowel symptoms occurs. So in the case of cystocele, the urinary incontinence occurs, as the pelvic floor muscles are weak. The bladder is unable to hold the urine. As a result, the leakage of urine occurs, or urine retention may occur. So instead of passing out, the urine may be collected at the bulging part. That's why the urine retention occurs, and due to the continuous urine retention inside the urinary bladder, there are the chances of bladder infections. While in the case of rectocele, there is a trouble in the bowel movement, means the stools, instead of passing out of the anus, these are collecting here at the bulging part, the part which is bulging towards the vagina. As a result, constipation occurs. Next is problems with sexual intercourse, as there is a sensation of looseness in the tone of vaginal tissues. Next is vaginal bleeding. Now why the vaginal bleeding occurs in the case of uterine prolapse? As in this case, the tissues may be tender and they may bleed. Next is increased vaginal discharge, and the patient may feels that she is sitting on a ball. Next is clinical examination and diagnosis of uterine prolapse. Under this, pelvic examination is performed in order to detect the prolapse. So pelvic examination is performed in both lithotomy and standing position. This one is a lithotomy position. And if nothing is diagnosed in lithotomy and standing position, then ask the patient to strain as to perform the Valsalva maneuver during examination, which helps to demonstrate a prolapse which may not be seen at rest, such as during lithotomy or standing position. If nothing is found out, then ask the patient to strain. Now what is Valsalva maneuver? Under this, ask the patient to lie down or sit down and take a deep breath and then hold it, such as pinch the nose and plus close the mouth. Then ask the patient to strain hard, means puts the pressure on the pelvic floor muscles, or bear down hard. And while bear down, ask the patient to breathe out. So while straining or while pushing the pelvic floor tissues, the prolapse may be demonstrated or prolapse may be seen. And if there is a negative finding on inspection in lithotomy position, then there is another method, such as other than Valsalva maneuver, that asks the patient to strain on squatting position. Now this is the squatting position. Next is the management of uterine prolapse. Under this, there are 4 subheadings, that is prevention, physiotherapy, which includes Kegel exercises, pessary, and surgical treatment. So starting with the prevention, avoid pregnancies in quick succession. What is the meaning of quick succession? That is giving birth at short interval, which might causes uterine prolapse, so it should be avoided. Next is labor. So during the first days of labor, avoid bearing down. That is prematurely try to push the baby by the mother, which might causes uterine prolapse, so it should be avoided. Avoid forceps delivery before full dilatation of cervix, as forceps delivery causes muscle damage, which as a result might causes uterine prolapse, so it should be avoided. During the second stage of labor, avoid prolongation of this stage, as the prolongation of second stage of labor leads to overstretching of the muscles and ligaments, which as a result might causes uterine prolapse, so it should be avoided. Perform episiotomy if tears or overstretching of the perineum occurs. Next is during the third stage of labor, avoid Creed's method. Now what is Creed's method? That is applying fundal pressure. During the third stage of labor, the placenta is delivered. So in order to help the placental separation and delivery, by placing one hand on the top of the uterus and squeeze the uterus with the help of thumb and the other fingers, so as to separate the placenta and deliver the placenta. So this method is avoided as it might causes uterine prolapse. Next is perineum. This period starts after the childbirth till 6 weeks. So if the mother is having chronic cough and constipation during the perineum, it should be treated, as the constipation and the chronic cough might causes uterine prolapse. Avoid strenuous exercises. What is the strenuous exercises? That is hard workout, and standing for the prolonged time should be avoided, as these activities might causes uterine prolapse. Next is Kegel exercises. So these exercises are used to tone up pelvic musculature or muscles. These exercises are basically performed to treat the weak pelvic floor muscles, as it strengthens the pelvic floor muscles. So how Kegel exercises are performed? First of all, tighten the muscles. Tighten the pelvic floor muscles. Now how the pelvic floor muscles are tightened? Suppose you are passing the urine, and in order to control the urine, or in order to stop passing the urine, you tight the muscle. So like that, tight the muscles and then relax. Muscles should be tightened for 3 seconds and then relax, and then perform it again and again. And you can perform Kegel exercises at any place, even in the car, even at office, at work, while sitting, while standing. So these exercises should be performed 3 times a day for at least 20 minutes each, and particularly during perineum. After Kegel exercises, next is pessary treatment. Now what is pessary? It is basically a mechanical device used for correcting and controlling uterine prolapse. Or it is a prosthetic or artificial device that can insert it into the vagina in order to support its internal structure. So pessary is inserted into vagina so that the uterus can remain at its normal position. There are various types of pessaries such as ring pessary, Hodge pessary, Marland pessary, cube pessary, Jehring pessary. This one is donut pessary. The common one pessary which is used is ring pessary, and this one is gel horn pessary. As you can see in the diagram, this is the donut pessary which is inserted into the vagina in order to hold the uterus at its normal position. Now what are the indications of pessary treatment? During pregnancy, such as specifically during first trimester, so during perineum, and if the patient is unfit for surgical treatment, then pessary treatment is given, plus if there is a patient's choice. So before inserting the pessary, put the pessary in the hot water, because the hot water helps to soften the pessary so that it can easily insert it into the vagina, and pessary can be removed, then cleaned, and then reinserted into the vagina at the regular intervals of 6 to 12 months. Next is surgical treatment. Under this, first one is vaginal hysterectomy, that is the removal of the uterus through vagina. Next is anterior corphorectomy. It is a surgical procedure which is performed in order to repair or fix the cystocele. Cystocele when the urinary bladder is bulged out in the vagina or when the anterior wall is involved. Then in this procedure, the urinary bladder is pushed back into its normal position. Next is posterior colporrhaphy. This is a surgical procedure which is performed in order to treat the rectocele when the rectum is bulged out in the vagina or when the posterior wall of the vagina is involved, and in this procedure the rectum is pushed back into its normal position. Next is Manchester's repair or Fothergill's operation. It is a surgical procedure in which the cardinal ligaments are fixed. Cardinal ligaments, also known as lateral cervical ligaments, as the uterus can only be at its normal position with the help of ligaments. That's all about uterine prolapse. I hope you all are clear with this topic, but still, my dear students, if you have any kind of query, then please ask me in the comment section. I will definitely answer your queries.